How's it going, guys? It's Cole from See Through Panel showing off my haul from September 2023. I have almost 20 books in this haul. I think I have 17 or 18. I'm not going to be spoiling anything, just showing off a couple pages of art, talking about why I bought it or what I think about the series if I have read it. No spoilers to worry about here, so I'll get into it really fast because there's a lot of books. I got Kaiju number 8, volumes 4 and 5 by Naoya Matsumoto, published by Viz, and each one is $10 US. I covered this book on the channel before, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'm just really excited to keep reading it. It's up there with, right now, Dawn to Dawn and Hell's Paradise as the manga that I am enjoying the most. Not too much to say on that one because it is something I will talk about further and have already talked about. Next is Den. I'm strategically putting my thumb here because there's nudity on the cover, but this is a really beautiful book. Even the slipcase is actually nice. And it is published by Dark Horse, $35 US. It is Richard Corbin's fantasy epic. I know nothing other than that. I know that I really like Richard Corbin's art. It's beautiful and painted in this book. He has two styles. One is more painterly like this on the cover that you see, and the other is more just regular pencil and ink, typical comic art, really. And I much prefer this, obviously. I love painted art. I've never read a book like this. I know it is riddled with nudity, so I can't even open it. I'm not even going to open it, but eventually I might cover it on the channel and try and censor out some stuff. But for now, I think it's got to stay on the sidelines. Up next, Creepy Archives, Volume 2, collects Creepy 6 through 10, published by Dark Horse. Big treasury kind of size, not as tall as a treasury edition. Retails for $25 US. Old black and white horror comics, I think pre-code. Maybe not. I'm not big on that era of comics. I really have no idea. I actually doubt it was pre-code, to be honest. But I really wanted to get into this stuff for a long time. I love horror comics, and I love the aesthetic of classic horror comics. I think pretty much all of the artists that drew in this series in its early days are phenomenal. Gray Morrow right here, always beautiful to look at. Yet to read the first one. I'm collecting the first 3 archives of Creepy and Eerie just to have them because I want to have them in my collection, but I'm probably not going to keep collecting past the first 3 volumes of each just because it's more of an archival thing for me to have them rather than a completionist. I want to have the whole series. I don't really care to have the whole series. So up next, Die Darks Volume 1 and 2. Really nice production with spot varnish and kind of like a matte. Maybe just spot varnish actually now that I'm handling them, but published by 7 Seas, retailing for $14, so you're paying like $4 extra. In terms of size, it's actually smaller than a typical manga format, but they actually feel nicer and heavier. They use heavier paper stock, it feels like. So that's at least good, although the format is a bit small. Q Hayashida, I read a tiny bit of the other one that I'm not remembering, Dorohedoro. Read a tiny bit of that, enjoyed it, but it was really early in my comic days, and I didn't have a lot of money or time to read a whole manga series, so better to get in early like I am with this series, relatively early. Way earlier than I would have gotten into Dorohedoro, so don't know what it's about. I think it's like a sci-fi, dark, nonsensical, very hyper-violent, it seems. I don't know. I know that Hayashida's work tends to be maybe not trippy, but kind of ethereal in the way it moves around. I do think the art is beautiful, and it just seems like a very unique art style and story to pair together. So I'm very excited to actually have this not prototypical manga in either its plot or its art, which I really appreciate. So something I actually want to collect all of in terms of manga there. Got a few books from 2000 AD this month. These were just outside of my monthly order. I didn't pre-order them or anything. Just got kind of into 2000 AD. I realized I only have The Horned God and like one other book, 2 other books, Button Man. And I wanted another Slain book. So I got Dragon Tamer, which is actually the very last Slain book, at least for now. They've said it's the final story. So published by 2000 AD. Here's the spine. Retails for, it looks like $23 US, pretty thin, probably like around 60, 70 pages. Written by Pat Mills, art by Leonardo Manco. This could also very well have nudity in it. But I just thought the art was impeccable. I don't even see like a very limited use of ink, a lot of lines on the page. Very painterly, obviously. I just thought it looked beautiful, and I really like sword and sorcery style comics. I don't see enough of them, at least modern ones. And this just had gorgeous art to go with it, so I thought I would dip a toe back into Slain, because I don't have a lot of experience with Slain. Then after that, last one from 2000 AD, I got Judge Dredd Dark Justice by John Wagner and Greg Staples, obviously published by 2000 AD. This one retailed for, I guess, $14.99 UK. That's, you tell me what that is. I have no idea. This one I have read before in my early days of reading comics. Well, not early. Probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I loved it, and I always wanted to have it on my shelf, but I kind of just forgot about it. Couldn't afford it that month I read it. Put it off, never got back to it, and now I really do plan to reread it and enjoy the beautiful art from Greg Staples. Sci-fi story, Judge Dredd on a spaceship, I believe. And the 4 dark judges happen to also be on that ship, possessing people and or killing people, doing what they do best. And I think it's just gorgeous. I also love the use of color in this very painted art. Yeah, a lot of greens and reds because the dark judges kind of have that sickly tone to them. Here's a great panel right there. So really excited for those 2 books. Probably going to read those pretty soon because I kind of want to get some 2000 AD in me. Another Tom King book, Gotham City Year 1, published by DC, obviously. Art by Phil Hester. Here's the spine. Has a dust jacket on it. Retails for $30 US. Let's see what it looks like underneath this dust jacket. I'm realizing now, I called the Den dust jacket a slipcase. It's not a slipcase, it's a dust jacket. That's more, I would like to have this as just a regular cover. You don't need the dust jacket at all. That's actually very nice. It makes me want to read it more than I know that the Phil Hester art is on the cover, so it's more akin to what you're going to get inside, but oh, that's great too. Don't know anything about this. I know Phil Hester and I know Tom King, obviously. When it started coming out, I was not very interested. I knew I'd pick it up when it was released in a collection because it was Tom King, but just not a ton of interest in Batman or Cape comics in general right now. Superheroes aren't doing it for me. And I know this isn't a superhero book. It's like a noir, early days of Gotham City. But I just don't even really care for anything tangentially related. But I'm going to read it. It's Tom King. I'm sure it's well constructed. I really do like the art style. I don't even know what to call him. Cartoony would be, I don't think, entirely true. But pretty clean, pretty simple. Not an art style I'm really terribly used to seeing, but something I think works for this type of story. The use of the red here is really nice. But yeah, no idea about this one. I'll get to it, but I'm reading Tom King stuff chronologically, so it's still like 3 or 4 books behind. I'll do these 2 together because I got them kind of on the same whim. Koshé the Deathless and Koshé in Hell. Ben Stenbeck on art, Mike Mignola on story, and Dave Stewart on colors. And both of them, they are pretty sure I should probably read Deathless first and then In Hell, because that's the release order. Mignolaverse books, when I was reading Lobster Johnson, I was like, I need to get this completionist kick going and get more Mignolaverse books, even though these will definitely be like either in their own Koshé omnibus one day, or in one of those short story collections of like, it has usually like 4 different miniseries. I couldn't really wait. I wanted to have them both. And this is what I got. So I have no idea what these are. I know Koshé from the Hellboy book proper, but seemed like a pretty small side character to me. Not sure why he's so important. But it seems really interesting and kind of more to the core of the Hellboy universe rather than these side things like the Paranormal Society or Lobster Johnson or things that are just on the fringes. This seems to be deeper into the actual Hellboy world with Hellboy in the book, which is a kind of a rarity, to be honest, from the Mignolaverse books. Not that that's a bad thing. Art looks phenomenal from Stenbeck. So excited for that. I guess I'll show some art from Koshé in Hell. More of a recent Stenbeck, I believe. More recently published. So, very clearly the same artist, but you would assume he would be more refined. I couldn't tell you why or how, because I am not well-read when it comes to Stenbeck. Although it's very Mignola here. Like this almost looks like Mignola. Wait. Okay, there's a story in here with art by Mignola. I was like, this is just actually Mignola. Yeah, this is just Mignola. Okay, cool. Okay, you get a whole short story of Mignola art. I hadn't even opened this before now. That's awesome. Also, that's a great cover. Yeah, didn't know that. That's a huge, huge perk of the book. And after that, I've got Sins of Sinister, obviously published by Marvel Comics. Retails for $75 US for this size of a book. That is not a good deal. I haven't read it yet, but just on spec, I wouldn't buy it for that price. I obviously pre-order my comics, so I get them cheaper, like usually around 40% off. Even then, this just feels like a ripoff. I know the contents are good because I know it was a maybe not an event, but a big storyline headed by Kieran Gillen, and I love Kieran Gillen's work. But God, these books are way too expensive. So it's got Kieran Gillen on writing, Cy Spurrier as well. Kieran Gillen again, Al Ewing in here. So just a really good group of writers. Those are the three main writers, it looks like. Andrea DeVito on art, Paco Medina, Lucas Wernick. Yeah, Alessandro Vitti. Yeah, just, I mean, a great stable of artists as well. Contained inside of the X-Men book, I believe, and a couple of the spin-offs. I hope this tells me the full story because I don't have collections of the X-Men series because I just don't want to have 40 trade paperbacks. I'm going to wait till Big Omnibus or something because I am very into the Krakoa storyline, so I do want to have those eventually. But we'll get there when we get there. I'm probably going to read this next time I really feel like going into superhero stuff. This is more palatable to me. I don't know why. It just feels less bland than like a Batman. Maybe it's just Batman I'm down on, actually. I would read a Superman comic right now or like a Daredevil comic. Maybe, I don't know why I'm burnt on Batman. I haven't even read any Batman recently. Just the idea of reading it does not sound great to me. So that's that. I've got like 6 more books to go. Here's 2 of them. Hell's Paradise 2 and 3. Finally doing this video so I can finally read these books. I really want to get through this series. It's been phenomenal. The first volume just blew me away. Similar to when I first read Dawn to Dawn. I thought it was just phenomenal. I love the plot. I love the art. I'm really interested to see where it goes. I think it's just so atypical from what I've read of manga, and I'm really, really into it. More of the seinen vibe, so more of an adult kind of story, but still with a lot of action that you'd expect, almost like a shonen. Still not an expert on this stuff, but just really into this series right now, and I'll be covering this very soon, definitely. Tally, Daughter of the Moon, Volume 2 by Soria, published by Oni Press, retailing for $20, not $40. If it was Marvel, it would be $40. Really loved the first volume of this series. To be honest, I can't remember a ton about it. I can remember the basic plot. Don't remember the characters' names. I remember that Tally is like the last of like a magical kind of priestess society. She's got powers. She's the last of the little bloodline. They're trying to protect her. I know it's very manga inspired with some manga kind of feeling to the story, but really just kind of feels like a sword and sorcery book to me. The art, though, definitely manga inspired. The layouts as well, I think, fit that vibe. To be honest, I wish I could tell you more. It's been so long since I read the first book. I think these are only coming out 2 volumes a year, so that means it's probably been 6 months since I read the first book, or more. So I'll have to get on that one. I'll probably do a full reread and get back to you guys. Samurai Doggy by Aftershock. I don't know what this is. Retailed for $25. Higher in Canada. Interesting. That just put the price. Written by Chris Tex, art by Santos. I don't know what this is. I saw the art online and thought Santos' art looked awesome. He colors himself, inks himself. Art's just fully him. Who's letters? Chris Tex does letters. Okay, awesome. Okay, so it's kind of like a 2-man team for most of this book, which is really cool. So it feels like a labor of love, although I know nothing about the story. Looks like we've got a animal main character. You would imagine he'd be a samurai. I'm not sure. I just think the art looks awesome. Let me get to some bigger spreads here. I don't know what it was that drew me in here. I don't have a lot of stuff from Aftershock, so I want to give them a shot. I don't know anything about the story. I remember reading the first issue digitally, and I thought it was a bit scattershot and a little edgy, but the art just was enough for me to keep going. I think Santos is very talented. I think there's a lot to love here in the art. The action looks really fun. The character designs are very fun. Kind of like a cyberpunk, futurist. I'm not sure why we only have the one animal character. I guess we have multiple. No, we have multiple, I believe, as we get further in. But really couldn't tell you. If you've read the series, let me know. I don't know if many people have, because Aftershock seems to slip by a lot of people's radars. But it looks really fun to me. There's a lot of action. I think it's a revenge story. I really can't remember. I couldn't tell you. I don't want to lie to you. Here we have a disappointing Godzilla by James Stokoe, the deluxe edition, and it should have like a question mark right here, because is this actually a deluxe edition? Here, before I badmouth it. Published by IDW. Really love the pink color of it. Feels nice. $40. $40. Here is a trade paperback. Put the trade on top. It is millimeters bigger than a trade paperback. There, now it's level. Just barely bigger than a trade paperback. This is not a deluxe edition. This is just a hardcover. I know a lot of people couldn't get the Half Century War hardcover. It's way bigger than this. It's built like an actual deluxe edition. So I'm glad that's back in print. James Stokoe's Half Century War for Godzilla is phenomenal series. One of the first books I read by him after Orc Stain and Wonton Soup. Actually, after Orc Stain, before Wonton Soup. And I adored it. And now you get his Godzilla in Hell issue as well, his single issue from that series. So it's phenomenal that these are back in print. You get some extras, behind the scenes stuff. That's awesome. Even if you need to make it $10 more expensive or whatever, just make it an actual deluxe edition, because this isn't one. This is a miss. It's a huge miss. I can review this now. I don't have to review it. I've already read the series inside, and Godzilla in Hell is a silent issue. It's an art book. IDW messed up making this small format. It's just kind of sad that they would do that. Lastly, I've got Vicente Segrelas. I don't know how to say that. I'm sorry. I also failed to get the username of the person who recommended me this, because he commented on one of my videos, and I looked it up. And this is one of the first books I ever saw online when I was getting into comics. And I thought it looked amazing. And that would have been before this book was printed, so it was out of print then, and I couldn't get it. And I forgot about it ever since. And I only realized that it was this book when he wrote that comment, and I looked it up, and I thought, I have seen this before. This is something that I was just staring at 10 years ago almost, just gawking at this. And I finally have the first volume, and there's only 2 volumes because they stopped printing it, as that user said. I'll put your name in the description. I'm sorry I didn't credit you here. This stopped getting printed after 2 volumes because he said after volume 1. No, he's right. It's just volume 1, because volume 2 it says it was printed, but I don't think it really ever was. Yeah, there was no demand. Printed by NBM published it, and it was $18. It's such a thin, like, that's a good price. It's huge, oversized, but it's really thin. There's nudity, so I need to really quick make sure I don't show you that. It's front page, first page on here. Good thing I checked. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful painted art. Gigantic format. Sword and sorcery, so it's just my type of thing. Sorry if my voice is moving around a lot in this video. I have to check pages before I show them. I just think it looks phenomenal. I wish I had the whole series. You can't see the cool architecture. It looks freaking amazing, and I really appreciate you, person who I will write in the description, because you showed me this. My cat's coming. It's time to wrap this up. So that was all 18 books from my haul. Here's a cat. And I really appreciate you guys watching. Sorry if this kind of went quicker than normal. I just don't want to make these take forever. I want them to be actually watchable. If you prefer them to be longer than this one was, let me know. There's so many books here. After these videos, I have to go put these all on the shelves and like reorganize all these shelves and figure out what goes where and move stuff around to make more room. And it's just a mess. And you don't want to know how late it is. It's early on the next day. It's not today anymore. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Peace.